Hi, I'm Sam Clift, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how I drew this shiny black fur in colour pencil. So starting off by using the cold grey one, polychromos, and laying down a base layer all around the area of the eye so that we can build up the colours as we go. So onto cold grey 2, again the polychromos, and starting to build up a little bit of definition in the darkest parts of the fur that I can see in my reference photo. And onto cold grey 3, you can see I'm starting to think about the direction of the fur here, not just circular movements anymore. I'm actually looking to see the direction of the fur that does change quite a lot around the eye. And again, just building up those darkest parts that I can see in the reference photo. So moving on to cold grey 4 and adding details and defining the areas around the tear duct now, looking at the direction of the fur, and onto cold grey 5 to deepen those tones even more. When picking my colours, I tend to have a look to see what the tone is of the black fur, so it can either be warm or cool. In this case it was cool because there's kind of a blue tone to the fur, so that's why I've picked the cold greys, which range from 1 to 6, and I tend to use them in order, building up the darkest parts, not going straight in with the black, which tends to flatten it. And again, looking at the direction of the fur. I will list all of the pencils that I've used in this drawing in the description box. So you're noticing that I'm leaving the lightest parts of the fur, so the shine, just clear at the moment, tending to create form by just working on the darkest parts, and I will go back in and add some detail to the lightest parts. It's much better to build it up from light to dark slowly instead of going in too dark to begin with. Now I'm just laying down a base layer over the lightest parts to blend it in using the cold grey 1. And as I said, this is a blue toned black fur. So going in with the bluish turquoise around the edges of the darker fur and the edges of the shine. And in with the Prussian blue, just deepening those blue tones a little bit more. Now I'm going in with a lighter blue, sky blue. This is actually a luminance pencil, Caran d'Ache. Great for blending. And now into with the cold grey 6 polychromos, Faber-Castell. Looking a little bit more closely at my reference photo now and looking at the fur patterns. I'm not drawing each individual fur, but I'm just looking at the clumps of fur and the shapes that they create. I'm trying to follow it as closely as possible. So you can see now the darkest parts are nicely building up, creating that shape and form. And this part of the kind of cheek area of the dog is really dark. So just building that up again. A few layers of the cold grey 6. Going in with Payne's grey as well, which does tend to have a little bit of a bluish grey tone those darkest parts some more, and adding some detail around the bridge of the nose. So the shiniest parts aren't free of detail, they've actually got dark streaks running through. So it's important to capture that as well, so it looks realistic and it blends in with the rest of the fur texture. And going in with another layer of the Payne's Grey. Actually adding some black here now. So this is the first time I've actually used the black pencil. You can see with now it's starting to take shape. Now we're going in with the black. Every pencil stroke does matter, so it's important that we follow the direction of the fur closely to make sure we're getting it as accurate as we can. And even within the black parts of the fur, the darkest parts, there's still different tones, different ranges of black. So it's important to use a light hand and not go in too heavy too quickly. Now starting to blend in the eye into the fur and going in with that sky blue again, the Caran d'Ache Luminance wax-based pencil, really great for blending and tying it all in, and back in with the black, adding some more detail. Into the very darkest parts of the fur. Details in the shine, those little dark fur strokes. And now I just thought I'd go in with the oranges to create the eyebrow, which also has some black fur lying on top. So just laying down those base layers, looking at the different tones and building that up from light to dark. As you can see, I can blend that in now with the black around the edges and a little bit through the centre. Darkening up the black areas some more. And the darkest parts on the top of the head some more. Looking at the way in which the light falls. Darkening up those details some more. So it's all about building up the layers slowly, which creates that depth in the fur. Going in with the Cold Grey 3 and blending the edges of the darkest parts into the highlights, into the shine. So it's a smoother transition from shine to dark, which makes it look a bit more realistic. Smoother transition. And any areas that are light or too light, going in and just darkening them some more. Using the Tombow Mono eraser just to pull up some highlights. And now that I've worked around the eye and darkening that, I've noticed that the eye needs to be a little bit darker. So just going in, especially around the edges and the pupil, to make the eye pop. And once you've done that, you notice that the darker parts need to be a little bit darker. And the details in the shine just a little bit darker. And now going in with the Cold Grey 4 just to blend in the shine. Not such a contrast. Makes it a little bit more realistic. And in with the warm greys around the edges of the darkest parts, again to blend it in so it's not such a harsh transition. And there's the finished shine around the eye.
I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, it'd be great if you could give it a thumbs up and click that subscribe button. Next week I'm going to be drawing the dog's ear, so showing you how I layer up the colour pencil to create the texture in the ear. Just remember to keep practicing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week.